We've made it onto book 3. This is the third book in the series. This is Cress in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. So if you haven't followed along, you need to read the other two books because this contains huge spoilers for the other books. That said, if you're just starting into this particular book, we'll do a quick summary and then we'll jump into the spoiler section. So this one, we are going to be following Cress. So Cress is a lunar. She is on a satellite orbiting Earth, and she is like a whiz at all things hacking and programming. And of course, we're still following along with Chaos from the second book, and we have them trying to deal with making a plan of what they're gonna do now that we know that Cinder is the princess and they're on an escape and they've got to figure out how to stop the wedding, and they got a lot on their plates. I will say this was not my favorite of the books so far. The pacing felt really off to me. It was like slow and draggy in some parts, and then others it was just like we're just whipping through all of the things that needs to happen really fast. And much like the other books, there are a lot of things that you see coming and that they just follow directly into the trope that you're expecting it to. It's not a bad thing, but it definitely happens very often where you know exactly kind of where things are gonna go. There is a few things that I didn't see coming, but for the most part you could see where the story was going. But again, I would still recommend this. I'm giving this one like a 4 out of 5 simply because I didn't want to devour this as much as the other books, and I think it just was a lot to do with the pacing for this one. I have a feeling the next book might be a little bit better because it is the finale of the stories. The other two books are, I think, like spin-off random little tales and whatever. But yeah, so overall, still a good book. I still definitely recommend the series. This just wasn't my favorite out of them all. So anyways, on to the spoiler section. So personally, I am not a big fan of Cress. She is a bit obnoxious for my likings, a little bit too damsel in distress, and a little too naive, and just doesn't fit with the rest of the group. And I'm sure that's the reason she's there. Her role is to be that way, but it just doesn't make sense that, I mean, it kind of does. I get it. Like, she's supposed to be like the awkward programmer, but it just feels weird. And I wish they would explain a little bit more about like what is going on with the shells on Lunar. Like, if they're supposed to be all killed and then she's not, like, what exactly is happening? And they kind of hint at it, but I wish we would have gotten a little bit more detail for it. I thought it was a little too convenient to the plot to make Thorn blind for this book, because it just was like, really? That's the plot we're going with? I didn't love it. This was not my favorite, because it was just so stupid to have him just be blind from that. Like, if he's had like a super traumatic brain injury to cause blindness, I feel like he's gonna have a lot of other symptoms with it, and it was just a convenient plot point. And I just didn't love it. And the fact that he gets his sight back in the end of the book was like, oh, look at that, how special. Again, this wasn't my favorite one. It just felt way too convenient for so many things. I did love the fact that like Wolf is just like a hot mess since Cinder is gone, and like the fact that she gets kidnapped and he's just moping around. That seems pretty realistic. And I love that he just handles it in his own way, and Cinder's just like, I don't know how to deal with you, dude. I have no idea. I think the guard situation where he was ready to protect his princess, but then it wasn't her, it was Winter, was interesting. I didn't see that coming. I kind of forgot the queen had a stepdaughter or whatever. Also, I feel like we could have maybe made that like a little bit bigger of a reason and like a little bit more of a point, because it feels like it's just like this offhanded comment thing. But when we do get to meet her, she's really interesting. I want to know more about her. I'm excited that the 4th book is Winter because we get to know what's going on with her, because I want to know. Like, the fact that she doesn't want to be like her mom or her aunt or whatever, and is like taking care of Scarlet, and just seems like not a terrible person, and is just stuck in this world where she doesn't have a whole lot of choice and she doesn't want to be like these people. I am curious if she's actually crazy or if she's just seeing things that other people can't see, because she talks about like the bleeding walls or whatever, and I'm like, is she going crazy, or is this just how it actually is and she's the only one who can see it because she isn't using her powers? I loved the end where we finally get to crash the wedding, and I love that Kai is just like, I need to like be the emperor right now. I really need to not be dealing with this. And so she just tranquilizes him. And I really love how they handle that situation, that they finally kind of get together-ish, and they're both like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like that was really good for the story. I think the final book is going to be a lot better. Again, this one was just not my favorite. It's not that it's a bad book by any means. It just didn't capture my attention quite the same way. And I think a lot of it was just, I didn't like Cress as a character. She's just not my favorite. She's a little too much for me. Like, her constantly having to have all of these different fantasies to like exist. Like, I get it, but it was just kind of obnoxious. And having Thorn be blind, and so she has to explain things. Like, it wasn't my thing. And like, I feel like she would still understand depth because you can get that from like movies. Like, you can understand depth of things in movies. Therefore, she could probably connect the dots when she's actually on Earth. But like, whatever. It's just stuff like that it was making me analyze like how that would actually work out logically. And again, the pacing just felt really weird with this book. So overall, I still love this series. This wasn't my favorite, but by all means, about 3/4 of the way through, I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what was happening. So anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every other day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon.